NAC is so fascinating because it has so many benefits. It's inexpensive and it's even a little bit controversial. So we're gonna get to all of that in this video. I'll even show you the big mistakes that you're probably making when taking NAC. But the reason that NAC is controversial is because the FDA actually tried to regulate it to where you could only get it as a prescription. Now, so many people thought that was wildly ridiculous, and it is because NAC is so safe. However, the FDA looked at it from the standpoint of, well, this first came onto the scene as a way to treat acetaminophen overdose. And so therefore, if that's what it was used for, it should be a prescription, which is not a good thing because this is something that can wildly improve your health. NAC has so many benefits. It's used to treat psychiatric disorders, neurological disorders. So if you have like, OCD, addiction, bipolar, depression, NAC is good for that. It helps with fertility. It plays a big role in detoxification, whether it's detoxing heavy metals or just environmental toxins that you're coming into contact with. It's important for that. It helps improve skin health through the process of improving collagen production. It supports your gut health. So if you have IBS, IBD, any of these different gastrointestinal issues, leaky gut, NAC is going to help with that. It also is really good for respiratory disorders, whether you have COPD, asthma, or you just have a lot of mucus buildup in the lungs and you're trying to clear that out. NAC is a good answer, an excellent answer, probably one of the best. It helps with autoimmune disorders, whether it's lupus, MS, or rheumatoid arthritis. It's going to help. It's being researched. NAC is being researched as a cancer prevention tool. It also has a lot of benefits with a lot of the risks associated with aging, such as inflammation and oxidative stress. It has antimicrobial properties. And so these are the amazing benefits that you'll actually get from utilizing NAC. And as I mentioned, it's very, very inexpensive. I'll put a link in the description below to the NAC that I use every single day. And it's what I use in my clinic as well. It's good quality, but also it's inexpensive. It has those amazing benefits and you'll be able to absorb it well and utilize it. But beyond supplementation, like how do you get NAC in your day-to-day life? Well, you can get NAC from poultry, you can get it from eggs, yogurt, cheese, sunflower seeds, and even legumes. Now, I will tell you that getting it from your food alone is not the greatest source, just simply because your body will actually benefit from getting far more than you're ever going to get from food sources. But it's better than nothing. So those are some of the best food sources to get NAC from outside of supplementation. But for me, I like supplementing it with it daily. And we'll get to how much in just a second. Now, you might also be asking yourself, well, if I was to have a lack of cysteine in my body and I can't produce enough glutathione, which is the most powerful antioxidant in the body, then ultimately, how would this show up? So beyond, let's say, all the different ways I just mentioned, NAC helps. Let's say that you identified as like, oh, I have a problem in this area, then NAC could help you. But in your everyday life, you could be looking at symptoms like fatigue, in your low energy. You could be looking at, well, if you have an autoimmune issue, you have poor immune system function, you're getting frequent infections. Maybe you have chronic inflammation and a lot of oxidative stress occurring in the body. You don't recover well from, let's say, an injury or even exercise, and you have different neurological symptoms like brain fog or even mood instability. These are all ways that you can look at your own self and say, hey, I could benefit from NAC. Now, here's some of the common ways that you'll actually find yourself in a deficient state of this cysteine and then lack glutathione in the body. The first is going to be if you have a poor diet, right? So if you just have low intake of those foods I mentioned, well, then that would be a reason you could have this deficiency. You also could have a chronic illness you're fighting, and it's just basically utilizing all the different stores of NAC in your body so that you don't have it. And even aging is a big factor here, just because as you age, you tend to have lower amounts of glutathione in the body, so therefore more NAC is necessary in order to keep that glutathione level up. And as I mentioned, glutathione is the most powerful antioxidant in your body, and the whole point of taking NAC is to efficiently boost up your glutathione levels. That's what we're trying to accomplish here, because that glutathione protects us in a big way, and NAC is a good, efficient way that is inexpensive to boost those glutathione levels. So that's why we love it. Now, also, if you're getting constant exposure to, toxins and pollutants, whether it's through your food or the environment that you are in, if you're someone who is dealing with a lot of chronic stress, if you have genetic factors, or if you're somebody who's very physically active, if you are dealing with gastrointestinal issues, if you have immune system problems, if you're taking medication, this is also a pretty big factor that will strip you of NAC. So that's that's a factor to consider as well. And then also if you're a smoker or consuming a lot of alcohol, once again, nothing ages you faster than those two things. So if we want to really get those glutathione levels up, boost up the NAC. Now let's take a look at some of the big mistakes that you'll probably make when taking NAC if you don't know this information. And this is important because if we're going to get NAC, take it, we want to of course get the most out of it. The first thing is that you want to watch out for is whenever you take NAC, don't take it while consuming a bunch of proteins, because all those proteins that you're consuming can actually compete with the absorption of it, okay? Not the end of the world if you do, but just a little factor that you can actually, think of when you're taking it in order to get the most out of it. The next thing is you want to make sure that you're getting plenty of hydration. It's very common that whenever you're taking a different supplementation, you don't get enough hydration with it. And as a result of that, you're going to find that, well, it didn't absorb well and it's just passing through your body. So plenty of good hydration in order to utilize it to the fullest. Now, we also want to look at the right dosage. This is very important. It is so common that individuals will take NAC and they'll say, hey, you know what? I'm taking it. And the thing is, it's so frustrating is I'm just not getting the benefits that I hope to get. Well, here's what you need to do. You need to look at the amount of NAC you're taking because it's important. Most different vitamins and supplements that have NAC in it are somewhere around like 100, 200 milligrams. What I do is I take 600 milligrams as a daily maintainer. And if I'm looking for a therapeutic dose to help me overcome a particular issue, like some of the things I mentioned here today, I'll be around 1,200 milligrams per day. Okay, that's a good therapeutic dose that is going to really help move the needle in your health for you. So having the right dose is very important. Taking NAC on an empty stomach versus with food. This is also another important factor. Now, before I mentioned you didn't want to take NAC while consuming a bunch of protein. Well, the thing is actually if you take NAC and is competing with different food digestion at all, it's going to be less likely to actually absorb well. So you can actually take NAC on an empty stomach in order to get the best absorption. You don't have to be taking it with food. However, if for any reason you found that the NAC is causing a little bit of digestive stress, I would move back to taking it with food. But ideally, you take it on an empty stomach. Now, the other thing that you can look at is timing. If you can take your NAC about 30 minutes before your meal, that is going to be best case scenario. So that way, if you're taking it and let's say it does cause a little bit of digestive upset, at least it starts absorbing before you consume your meal. Now, also, if you are taking NAC in a way that you're trying to get support with a certain condition, let's say with a respiratory condition, you know that your respiratory issues flare up sometime at night or in the morning, then what you could do is take NAC before that time of your typical flare up, and then it's going to be there in order to help you get through that hard time with the condition that you're facing. So you can actually time your NAC appropriately to whatever you're trying to accomplish with it, and that's very beneficial as well. Another mistake that is very common is taking a very low quality NAC. So if you get a low quality NAC that has a bunch of fillers in it, that's not third party tested, and it hasn't been checked to make sure environmental toxins are pulled from it, then there's a good chance that you're getting a low quality NAC that of course isn't going to absorb well. It's not going to help you solve the health problems that you're having. Having good quality supplementation that's actually more of a pharmaceutical grade that will actually move the needle for you is very important. So these are the big mistakes that I typically see when individuals are taking NAC. I'm Dr. Nick Zyrowski. What I'll do, like I said, is I'll put a link in the description below to the NAC that I'm using so that you have access to it. Go ahead and give this video a thumbs up and share this video with somebody who needs the benefit of N-acetyl cysteine in their own life. If you enjoyed this video, check out this video next.